Hi guys, thank you so much for joining this 7 days class. My name is Samuel Linus and I'm super excited to have you here. At NerdyEye, we are a peer-to-peer edtech platform that allow people to learn in peers, groups, and communities. It simply means that gone are those days when you'll be learning alone and you have questions to ask, but nobody to ask questions. You wish you're a part of a community. You wish you have a mentor. You wish you have a learning mate, somebody you guys can learn and grow with. But unfortunately, you're learning online, so there is no one like that. But with NerdyEye, you have access to all of those things and even more. When you enroll for our platform, you have access to a one-on-one mentor. You'll be able to schedule a clarity call with your instructor at will. You will also join a support group where you can ask questions at any point in time. You will also be part of a weekly live class where you'll be learning and growing with other people. And guess what? You will also be paired with an accountability partner, somebody that you guys can learn and grow with and also build rapport as you advance in your career. And at the end of the career roadmap, you also get personalized portfolio review and job support. Don't forget to go on our platform and turn on your subscription. It's just a monthly token. That being said, don't forget to also subscribe on this particular YouTube channel so you'll be notified when we upload subsequent lessons, right? So without wasting much of our time, let's get into this particular video.
Welcome back to this video. In this video, we'll be treating JavaScript objects. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. I'm going to close this, create a new file. Let's call this one object.html. So the reason why we are creating all this file and separating it is the fact that so that you guys can also go back to these things afterwards. So I'll create my basic HTML structure as usual. And right here, I'm going to type JavaScript object, right? All right. So in our usual fashion, let's run it here. I will just call changes to obgt object. All right. This simply means that right now my hot reload should be on the object file. So I guess I'm correct. So I'll come over here now. I'll create my script tag as usual, scripts. And this is where our JavaScript will be written, right? So now, what then is JavaScript object? So objects allow us to work with something that looks like a variable, but a variable that has properties, right? Now, this definition I just gave you guys is not like the real definition, like the, what will I call it now? It's not like the academic definition. This is me just trying to describe objects in this is me just trying to describe objects in my own layman terms, right? So but objects basically in JavaScript might also be defined as the collection of properties, right? So let us use that definition. Objects is the collection of what? Properties. So now let's create an object. So for example, we want to create a person, right? A variable called person. So if I say variable person, for example, variable person is equal to Samuel, right? This simply means that, let's console log this, console.log person, right? So this is not totally correct because as a person, I have several properties. Example of my properties could be my name is a property, not the me in total. So I have my name, I have my height, I have my age, I have my nationality, I have so many other things that defines me as a person. So for us to do that, we are going to start with what? The curly braces. So whenever you see a curly braces attached to a variable, this should tell you that it is an object. So let's go and create our first property. So our first property here could be a name. So you could see the name here. Then we will have a colon here. Then I could now put this. I can now say this person's name is Samuel. Then comma to add another property. I could say age, comma. I could say, okay, my age is 25. Right? I could go ahead and say, okay, what is the email of this person? I could say my email is samuel@gmail.com. Right? So I could go ahead and add this other property. I could say profession, right? And what I do for a living. So profession, I could say web developer. All right. So these are several properties that makes up me as a person. And I'm console logging this particular object, I could actually see it right here. I could see age, I could see the name, of course, I could see age, profession, and so on and so forth, right? So with this now, we've created an object. Now, this is different from an array. This is not an array, this is an object. If it's an array, this would have been variable, let's say person would have been equal to this array bracket. So when you see this array bracket, this one is array. When you see the curly braces, this one is object. Then without it like this is just a variable. So I believe with this, you should be able to like differentiate when you see a variable and when you see an array and when you see an object. So as a beginner, try not to conflict or confuse objects for array or array for object. So notice this curly braces here defines an object, right? And we have different properties. So as I said earlier on, an object helps us in JavaScript to define several properties that might be related to one particular thing. Now, if I want to create an object for car, the properties would have been the name of the car would be something like Honda. The model would have been, I don't know, probably we'll say Honda 2020. Then the color of the car would be black, for example, and so on and so forth, right? So that is the property. Now that we know how to create an object, let me just leave a comment here and I will call this create. Then how do we assess a property in an object? So let's call this one assess. So remember, if we're still using the word called read, so I'll just call it read instead of assess, right? Let's say we want to display just the name, right? We will say console.log, just the name. We'll just say person dot the property. Let's say name. If we do that now, you will see just Samuel will be displayed here, or we could say age, right? So that means if you just say the person dot the property, we'll be able to get that particular property and display it. So let's do something more beautiful. Let's do something like this. Let's say name is a profession that is XX years old, SS years old, with I want to add email address, SS years old, with the email address, with the email address XXXX. All right, this looks cool. So now let's concatenate this string and ensure that we have all of this. So now I'll just take away my name here and I'll say person.name. So plus sign to concatenate is, so I'll take this one off to add another one here, add the plus sign here so that I could is profession. So let's say this one now will be person.profession, right? Let's add another plus sign here for concatenation. That is XYZ. So we need another concatenation here too as well. So add another plus sign here. We'll say person.age. That is XYZ is old and whose email address is this. So we need another concatenation here too as well. So plus person dot email. So let's save this now. If we save this, you will see Samuel is a web developer that is 25 years old with the email address samuel@gmail.com. Now you could see the way that we've used this to access both the name, we access the profession, we have accessed the age, and we have also accessed the email address. So in order for you to access the value that is stored inside an object, you just say the object dot that particular property. With that, you'll be able to access it. Now let's assume now that we want to now update it, right? So let's use, still following our code, let's use the word update. So how do we update the value in an object, right? How do we update it? To update the value in an object, all you just need to do, you could just say person.name is equal to the new value, right? So let's say I want to change it from Samuel to Peter, right? So I'll change it from Samuel to Peter. So if I do this and I come over here and console I do console.log the new name, the new person.name, you realize now that person.name is going to be Peter, no longer Samuel. But if I comment out this line 32 right now and save, person.name is Samuel. So with this now, we've been able to do what? We've been able to update it. So for you to update any property, all you just need to do is say person.the property equal to that particular new value that you want to change that property to. Now, what happens if you want to totally do away or delete a certain property? So let's say now we have, let me add a new property so that will not affect these other ones. Let's say we have let's say nationality, right? Nationality, national or country. Let's use the word country instead of nationality. Let's say country. So I'll put Nigeria here, and save this. So now if I come over here and console log country, I should be able to see Nigeria. So, but what if I want to delete that country, right? Let's come over here and say delete now. Let's say I want to delete country. So how do we delete? We'll use the keyword delete. Oops. We'll use the keyword delete. We'll say delete as a keyword person.country, right? So this will delete the country for us. So now let's come over here and console log that country again and see if it's going to appear. You could see it's going to tell you undefined. It simply means that country no longer exists because at line 38, we have deleted that particular property, right? So this is how we basically work and manipulate with objects, right? So let's take a look at it now. We have person. This allows us to create a new object, right? Then we'll come over here to access the object by saying person dot the property of that particular object will help us to access the particular object. To update the object, we say person.name is equal to a new value. We'll be able to update a new object there. Then if we want to delete it, we can delete it here. So with these 4 operations, we've been able to do what? Perform the CRUD operations on any JavaScript object, right? So now that we know that, right, 2 more things I just want to show us. How can we access all the values or all the properties and all the value? For example, all of these are properties, right? JavaScript will also call it keys, right? So let's do something. Let's say variable props, let us call it props, is equal to object. You see this is what I'm using capital letter O now. Objects dot keys in brackets, I'll put person, right? So let me console log it now. Console.log props. Oops, that should be inside the brackets. Console.log props. I'll save that now. Guess what happened here? It just converted all of the properties into an array, right? You see name, age, email, profession. So what this does, object.keys, it converts all this into an array. So if we want to convert all of our property into an array so that we can loop through the object, we can use object.keys, which is really good. So another thing again that we could do is values. So let us call this one values, right? So instead of object.keys, now we say object.what values. So let's console.log values. I'll paste it here, right? So once we console.log values, we'll see now this is no longer all of the keys anymore. This now is now all of the what values. Yeah, we have now Peter 25. So this one does similar thing with what this one does. So object.keys converts all the properties into an array, while object.value converts all the values into an array. Now, when we proceed with the course, we will see how we can basically use some of these things in real life case scenario. Now, and I hope that we are enjoying this particular video so far. So this is where we are going to end. So with this, we've been able to learn a little bit on objects in JavaScript. Now, let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, and don't forget to check out nerdyi.com. Go on our website. You can subscribe on our platform. It's just $15 per month. With that subscription fee, you'll be learning JavaScript, React, data structure, algorithm, TypeScript, and so many other amazing things. In 6 months, you'll be able to build your portfolio and you will land a job, right? So do that. Go on our platform, subscribe, and I'll be waiting to see you guys inside the main community when you subscribe at $15 per month. So that being said, see you guys in the next video.